Parham motherfuckers, Magshoodloo is a player who has a very sharp style and very aggressive, and he used to score very well in open tournaments, and he have more problems in the close tournaments against the big player. But in open tournaments or in tournaments like this, like the European Club Cup, who he faced many players who of low rated players, he used to score very well in this type of tournaments. The other day we analyzed another victory of him in the Benoni, and today we're going to see a London system played by Magshoodloo, who once also easy against young FIDE master Jacek Nemec. Okay, Magshoodloo open with d4, knight f6, knight f3, e6, and bishop f4, the London system. And Nemec come with d5, knight d2, c5, e3, knight c6. This setup is very common. I used to play against the London without the pawn on d6. I used to play like this more, with c5 and knight c6 directly, without d6. I prefer this a little bit. But in the past, I employed the system many times with e6. Knight c3, c3. So that is the one of the main positions of the London. And here, I know the move bishop d6 was so employed. But Nemec have another idea to just control the long diagonal. So we take here, knight h5, attacking the bishop, bishop e3, and bishop d6. This looks normal for black, have sense. Of course, the knight is if of course misplaced on h5, that's a bad square for the knight. But at least black have control the long diagonal, so that's good for black. Kariakin against Nakamura played this position 4 times in 2017, and during all the games, Kariakin plays 95, knight f6, and here Nakamura tries or knight df3 or bishop f4. And in the majority of the game, Nakamura finished the opening with a small advantage with black. Okay, but Magshoodloo goes with bishop b5. And here Nemec responds with bishop d7, who of course is not bad, but it's not the better response. Knight f4 or to go to e6 to just improving the knight, or short castle followed by f6 was slightly better. But okay, bishop d7 is a normal move. Short castle, again knight f4 improving the knight, or h6 are logical. But okay, still short castle was fine. King rook e1, and here comes the first inaccuracy of Yatsin Nemec. But that this move was an inaccuracy says that this position is not so pleasant for black. Of course, he prepares the idea of take here, knight h5, and bishop d6. And the machine says that this position is fine for black, and black can play that. But in the practice, I prefer white in this type of position. I think analyzing a little bit this game, I realized that it was easier to play with white than for black. But I have a clear plan, just place a knight on d5, bishop f4, and try to attack the white king. And it's not clear how black can play in this position. For the reason is that I used to play without e6, because in the lines with e6 it's so common that white is going to place a knight on e5, and later it's not easy to play against a knight on e5. The machine used to say that the position is equal, but used to be more pleasant for white in my opinion. Bishop b5, bishop d7, so castle, and now rook e1 and rook c8 is a mistake. Okay, why rook c8 is a mistake? It's not clear. First, it's not clear what the rook is doing on c8. Of course, it's in open file, but this move has no so much sense. Was better, yes, play 6, because if you play knight f6 so fast, maybe white can play bishop g5 in some knight. So h6 is always a useful move, maybe more useful than rook c8. And after 95, just take after 95, just came back with the knight to f6, because the knight is misplaced on h5. So it's true that have more sense just came with the knight to the game than play rook c8. So try to never play with pieces but place it, especially the knights. Try to didn't play with knights in the h files or knights in the corner in general. It was more important to improve the knight that simple move rook c8 with not making so much. Of course, the rook is slightly better on c8 than on a8, but it was more important to just fix the knight. Okay, here Magshoodloo have 95 here, this was fine, but he plays bishop a4, defending the bishop. So in some lines after some 95s, sorry, some 95, when black takes, now this bishop on b5 is defended. So for that reason, Magshoodloo plays a4, but knight e5 nearly was fine. And here another mistake of Nemec, but is all of the Nemec mistake is because his position is so difficult. Because he made all normal moves and Nemec lost the game just making normal moves. Sometimes make so much normal moves are not the best, but uh, for example, now a6 is a mistake, and in the previous move, that's the move that he should play. Not easy to understand, especially when you are playing. Here was better bishop e8 or f6. But both moves, the idea is just stop 95. For example, if bishop e8 you can counter, okay, here you should return, for example. But, okay, the bishop on e8 is not under attack with the knight lands on d5. Or f6 just stopping 95, that's the huge idea behind f6. But after a6, 95, and now white is just better because knight f6, bishop f4, and now white is the black plan. White have the control of the e5 square. Now we reach a CARLSBAD structure where white have his goal, who is take the control of the e5 square and attack in the king side, which is what white is going to do. In this CARLSBAD, the people who have the pawn on the c5 should attack on the king side and take control of the e5 square. And the player with the pawn on e6 should sometimes attack on the queen side, try to create a minority attack, pushing the b and e pawn. But now the black plan is control, so and apart he has his bishop inside of the pawn chain. This bishop used to be better here on a5 or on e4, pinning the knight. So it's like the best card of the history. Bishop b8. Here, okay, bishop b8 is not the best, but the rest of the moves doesn't make nothing. For example, queen c7, just bishop d3, or queen f3, both moves. With a6, bishop d3, so bishop b8 is normal. That's great position was bishop b8 was the best move, like according to the machine. Bishop b8, bishop d3, just improving the bishop. The bishop now is not making nothing on b5. In the past, yes, he pinned the knight and everything, but now the bishop just want to attack the black king. King h8, knight df3, capping with more pieces to the attack. Let's see how well have why the pieces placed. That's the perfect placement of the pieces. And controlling the d5 square, which is the key of the calculator extractor. Bishop c2 was fine too. Okay, knight f3 was a good move. Bishop 8, and now queen d2 with a clear idea of bishop takes h6. Queen c1 with the same idea was possible, or knight takes c6 followed by knight e5 was possible too, but queen d2 was a good move, attacking h6. And here the best black defense was take on d5, because after bishop take now the h6 pawn is not under attack. And now take here or move the a pawn, but okay, why have the advantage here, of course. Let's see this fucking stupid bishop, and the black cannot manage to advance this pawn because the a4 pawn stopped it so well. And okay, Nemec play knight g8, who is losing, but it's because the black position was hopeless. Let's see the black pieces have 7 of 8 pieces in the first rank, and their pawns are not advanced. This bishop is blocked, so the rooks are in closer files. So white, and let's see the difference between the pieces. White have all his pieces, all his minor pieces, and he's been developed, and black have all his pieces in the first rank. So the difference of the position was clear. And now the queen was placed on d2 to attack a6, and now the knight going to e8 start to defend a6. But what happened? That now the knight took over the h7 square, which is the new goal of Magshoodloo, goes to make checkmate on h7. Knight c6 was the other possibility here, take everything on 85, but I really like all the Magshoodloo moves are the best. Bishop c2, just with the clear idea of queen d3, knight c7, queen d3, going to h7, f5. You never want to play this type of moves, it's a huge concession. Now the a6 pawn is weak forever, the e5 square is for the knight forever too. You can never expulse the knight, the e6 square is weak too. And now Magshoodloo won in just 3 or 4 moves. Queen e3, bishop h5, and just knight d3. The first idea is take here, and then trade this bishop to have more control of the e5 square. Bishop here takes rook f6, and after bishop takes, rook takes, knight c5, attacking e6, queen c8 and queen e3, Nemec resigns. Okay, both players have the same material, but the a6 pawn is falling, and after the a6 pawn fall, now the d5 pawn is going to be weak, the f5 pawn is going to be weak, this knight is a disaster, the rook is a disaster, black have 0, and the white position is so solid with his central pawns in the different color of the bishop. So for that reason, Nemec here resigned. Very easy win of Magshoodloo, who used to beat this type of players with low rated so easy. He best, I told that he struggled more in close tournaments against the elite players, but in open tournaments, Magshoodloo is one of the best of the world. So I analyzing many games of the European Club Cup, so let's see the rest of the game. Bye bye, motherfuckers.